If I may, I would like to tell you a true story. A story about a house that had a bad room, what they call in Ireland a bad room. It had an atmosphere. People were loath to go into it. They didn't wish to have anything to do with it. And if people heard about this room and they wanted to go and see it, the people of the house would say, please don't go near the room. And if you do go near the room, always go with somebody, because it has some sort of fatal attraction to draw those people in. And people would open the door and let people look into the room. And the sense of attraction to that room was like a magnetic pull. They would want to go in. And that is why the other person was there, always to stop them. And then one young, foolish man decided against all advice that he would spend the night in the room. And people pleaded with him, scolded him, shouted at him, screamed with him, fought with him. And he said, no, I will spend the night in the room to rid us all of this superstitious rubbish. And he went in to that room. And the door, without any human being touching, closed behind him. And they all waited. And they all waited until about 6 o'clock in the morning. And from that room, there was the most horrendous, soul-destroying scream. And they all rushed up to the room, and they opened the door, and there was nothing there at all. No sign of the young man, except a pungent smell of animal and brimstone mixed together. And lying on the floor was a shoe. That's all. Nothing more. And the story was printed in the paper and people came to hear about it. And eventually it got to the ears of one of the great Jesuits, who was an exorcist. And he decided that he would go to this room and he would attempt to exorcise this evil, this presence, this prince of darkness, whatever it might be, that was in that room. And again the people pleaded. They said no, and he said, no, I shall do it. But if by chance something happens to me in this room, if the pattern is the same, one of my shoes will remain in that room. And whatever happens, whatever is the secret of the evil of that room, I will write that upon my shoe. And if I am not there, look to my shoe, because the answer to this puzzle will be upon the shoe. And he arrived, entered the room, and the door closed behind him. And the people sat downstairs by a fire, and they waited. And the clock, this large grandfather clock, ticked away the time, quietly. And from upstairs they could hear the priest praying. They could smell the incense. And at about 4:30 in the morning, they looked at the dog who was asleep by the fire. And in his sleep, he had begun to growl. And as they looked at him, the hackles on the back of the dog began to rise. And he gave out the most baleful of hound-like howls. And from the room upstairs, they heard the scream. And they ran up with lights, with crosses, with crucifixes, with holy water. Open the door. there was this pungent smell and a shoe. And they ran to the shoe, they picked it up, they turned it over, and burnt into the sole of that shoe were 2 words: size 9.
I've seen 2 ghosts in my life. I saw a ghost at the Comedy Store, and I saw a ghost when I was about 4 in a building in New York City.
You remember that?
Always.
4?
Yes. I still remember what I felt like. I still remember telling my mother the confusion that I had, and I still remember my mother asking me the story over and over and over again like a cop to make sure I wasn't fucking crazy. And then when I moved into 3515 Given Terrace, there was a time when I got out of Catholic school, I couldn't stay in that house, Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay in that house at night.
Yeah.
Bobby, I'm a big boy. You know me. You know I'm the type of guy I love to be independent. When I got out of Catholic school, my mom had a bar.
Yeah.
So that meant basically I had the house to myself at nights. What 12-year-old kid doesn't want a house to himself with cable TV?
Every night.
Every kid wants a house to himself. I would go home at night. My mother would cook dinner. I would eat dinner with her. She'd leave to the bar. I would do my homework, watch Get Christy Love, whatever show was popular in those times. Go up to my room about 10 o'clock, put the air on, go to sleep. And within 20 minutes, I'd be awoken by something. Bobby Lee, this went on for fucking a year. That I couldn't sleep. I would fucking test toward, and I would feel something. And one night I said, I can't do this no more. There's something in this fucking house. And I remember telling my mother, and my stepfather, and people, they're like, you're crazy, you're watching too many horror movies. And I fucking started living with a family. I would just go to their house at night. I played basketball with the kids, and the parents didn't have a fucking clue who was in their couch at night.
So you couldn't sleep?
I would go to my mother's bar, stay at my mother's bar till 9, do homework, eat dinner with my mother, and then go to 26th Street in Central. They were a Puerto Rican family named the Torreses, and I was son with Jose Torres, Papo. And I'd go to his room, we'd watch TV, and nobody would know I was even sleeping in his house. I'd get up in the morning, brush my teeth, comb my hair, and go to North Bergen school. So I would stay in Union City and go to school in North Bergen. The fucking point of the story is that after my mother died, and I found her dead and the whole thing, I found out an interesting fucking story. Some people came over after my mom died, and they said, we're really sorry about your mom's death. And they said, you know what? We never liked this house anyway. We thought about buying this house. But you know why this house sold for cheap? Because somebody hung themselves in the garage.
Whoa.
And right there, I knew that all my premonitions that I had, I would hear it, Bobby Lee. I'm not a retard. I'm not a fucking idiot, Bobby Lee. I know what I see, and I know what I feel. I would feel somebody going up the steps. Wow. That's what I would feel. People running up the steps or running down the steps.
Now, the person that killed himself, were they white?
I had no idea.
You have to know that shit. You have to know that shit.
Probably New Jersey, you would think so, right?
I thought he hung himself. For years, I heard the rumor. Because after, like, my mother died, they buried her. And these people who had lived on the block, I knew, like, I wasn't friendly with them.
Yeah.
They came that day and were like, we looked at this house first. It was like $10,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
But somebody killed themselves in the garage. So they said that he hung himself. And then I told somebody, and they came back to me. They go, well, nah, we did some looking. The guy was one of those guys that closed the garage.
Ooh.
And put the fucking
The
thing
car
in.
on?
The car on. So anytime I go back to that house, like when Lee and I shot the documentary, I could feel that house. Like I was thinking about buying that house.
But it's still there.
I'm buying that house.
It's still there, yeah.
It's still there, and I'm thinking of going back to North Bergen and saying, what do you want for this house? And offering them $20,000 more. Gutting that house.
There's a shadow somewhere.
It's already good, isn't it?
I'm loving it already. No, right. There's a shadow. I think it was in America.
Yeah.
And it's on a quiet road. I'm guessing somewhere like Boston. That's what you imagine.
Okay.
Right?
No.
Somewhere like Boston. And people at night used to see this shadow moving about. And they'd go, what's that? Right. And it got known, the town, the little local town got known for this shadow, but it didn't cause any problems.
What are you talking about?
Well, it was like,
You've lost me.
What are you talking
no,
about?
do you know, like, some places get famous, like, Scotland's got the Loch Ness Monster and that, but it doesn't cause any, but it doesn't cause any problems.
It doesn't exist, go on.
Right, so there's this shadow walking about on the road.
What do you mean? No, what's he, again? Rubbish.
Right, so it's walking
Nonsense.
about.
Where did you read this? Where did you
It's
see
walking
this?
about, this was on the internet, and I'm sure.
Sorry! Sorry!
Right.
I thought it was shite. I didn't know it was on the internet.
Right, so this shadow is moving about, and,
Independently of an object.
yeah, and the local mayor and that is like, yeah, it's a bit weird, but it's not harming anyone.
The mayor involved!
Was he elected to that post?
Hey, Mayor, we got a problem down here. Seems like a shadow. Well, it's not causing any. No, it's
Is
just
it causing any problems?
Yeah, go on.
But that's the thing, it was left for years, and then it did start causing problems.
I see, that's it. If you leave these shadows to go unchecked, Rick, they go crazy.
Yeah.
You let them run amok in the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
You've got to stand
What
down
did it do?
on
What did it
Roman
do?
shadows.
What did the shadow do?
It was pushing people off the bikes.
It was what?
It was pushing people off the bikes.
Oh,
I'll find out more for that next week. Right, that'll tease
oh,
them.
you're a maniac!
We'll do more on that. We haven't had time for educating.
Please never have children.
Right, listen.
You are
Just promise me now you'll never have kids.
Oh fuck! I got to tell you this story. I always look at houses. You know, I'm not going to sell my house. I love this fucking place as much as I bitch. That's why I bitch about it, because I love this fucking house, and I'm going to continue to fucking repair it. And I'm going to do the fucking homeowner 360. And when I have the whole thing fixed, I'm going to start over again on the first job, because now it's going to be fucked up. Whatever I repaired at that point will then be fucked up. So, anyways, there was this house for sale. And I went to go see it, and it basically had everything that you could ever want. Right? It was a beautiful house. You know, from the outside, it was a beautiful house. It had a fucking pool. It had a garage detached from the house with a room above it, which to me is like, oh, there you go. I got the kid. I got the house I got the garage with the fucking room above it. I put my drums up there, turn it into a drum room / podcast room. There you go. That is my fucking dream. So I go over to go look at this fucking place, right? Knowing full well I'm not going to fucking buy it. Because I can tell at this point, having bought a fucking house that needed all the work it does, but as I'm driving up to it, I can already see the fucking windows need to be replaced and it needs a new roof. Even though they told me, you know, we checked out the roof there. We had some inspectors. They said it's fine. Oh, yeah? Is that what they said? Why are all these water stains all over the side of the fucking house? What's that about? I like how the windows don't fucking they're not flush. Look at that. Look at the rot around all of those fucking windows. This house, I can tell you right now, is already a borderline teardown. And I haven't even gotten into it yet. So I walk into this fucking house and holy shit. Holy fucking shit, dude. I took a tour of this house. There was 3 separate times that I thought I was going to get murdered. All right? First of all, we go to look at the room above the garage first. And there's just this moss growing on the side of the house, which I don't know if it was mold or if it was moss. It was fucking green. And the guy trying to sell it is, you know, he's doing his best, going, you know, it's a mother-in-law suite. You can fucking do this. You can do that. There's room to add a little more onto the garage. And I just point to I'm like, what is that? And he goes, yeah, well, you know, it definitely needs a little bit of work. And so I go into the house, and there's this random guy living there who isn't the owner, who has a ponytail. It's sparsely furnished. It was made in the 1920s, so it's already like creepy. You can already feel how many people have lived there and are now dead. And we just walk around the house. It got remodeled sometime in the 90s, yet it still had the fucking, Lon Chaney Jr. vibe of it from the 20s. And I go downstairs. It was like a basement, which they just don't have out here. And the guy's like, you can make this into a TV room. And there was all like these fucking files and film and all this shit down there. And I'm like, you know, that was the first time I was thinking about like Saw or the Blair Witch. And I'm like, all right, can we go back upstairs? So we go back upstairs. We go all the way upstairs. Then there was this random like teenage girl living there that was the daughter of the dude downstairs who lives there but I don't know. It's not his house. And we look up there, and there's this stuffy fucking smell. And then as we go down to go to the master bedroom, they said, oh, the owner is, just to let you know, the owner is there. He's in the house, which usually they fucking leave. There's all these people just there, and this fucking cat just sitting there looking at me. And I do the after you to go to the master bedroom, and he does the after you to me, and then I didn't want to be rude, so now I'm walking towards the master bedroom down this creepy fucking Transylvania hall with the guy Smiley real estate agent behind me, who, you know, I'm sitting there going like, he's regular looking, good looking guy. That was to make me feel safe, and now I'm fucked, and I'm walking towards this fucking door, and I open the fucking door, and I look in there, and I swear to God, there's this guy with like gray skin, totally fucking bald, like the landing strip, and then like, you know, like the little fucking Mr. Whipple fucking hair around the side that he sort of dyed at some point, but now it was like this gray. He was totally gray. You could see the veins on the side of his head like Clint Eastwood, but not like I wouldn't want to fight Clint Eastwood. More like, did this guy die and then come back? And he was sitting down, hunched down. I think he was typing on the side of his bed. The place was a mess, and he just sort of looked over me and just went like, hey. He looked like the fucking dad in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I was just like, what the fuck? So I went like, hey man, how are you? I sort of stepped around him, and then when I went to look into the bathroom...
Let me tell you about a story so true. We're showing me style and it's all so cool. It's about a garment torn and frayed, getting its threads, the story conveyed. Walking down the streets with holes in my teeth. Each ripped and tear part of me you see. It ain't about the brand or the label it holds. It's about the journey, the stories it unfolds. In these ragged clothes I find my voice. A testament to resilience, my choice. From the streets to the stage I rock my style. In my tattered shirt I walk that mile. Ripped and torn, but still I stand in my ragged attire. I command, it's not just fabric, it's a statement I preach. In my threadbare garment, I find my reach. From the barrio to the bar, I make my mark. In my worn out jeans, I leave a spark. They may call it rags, but I call it art. In every stitch and tear, I play my part. It's the struggle of the streets, the hustle so real. In my tattered jacket, I seal the deal. A symbol of defiance against the status quo. My passion of pants, I let it show. It's not about the riches or the wealth I lack. In my faded hoodie, I stay on track. It's the heart of the hustle, the grind each day. In my worn out kicks, I find my way. Ripped and torn, but still I stand. In my ragged attire, I command. It's not just fabric, it's a statement I preach. In my threadbare garment, I find my reach. So here's to the ones with the clothes that tear. In our patched up attire we have, so let the world see our garments worn. For in our rags, our stories are born. In the language of the streets we speak. In our torn up clothes we find our peak.
Which I did for fucking 2 seconds, you know, trying to feel the backside pressure, by the way. You know, like when a quarterback doesn't feel the rush, you know, trying to feel that fucking axe that was about ready to go into my back. I look into the bathroom, and all along the bathtub, this guy had knee-high dress socks drying on the, and I was just like, ah! And I was just like, all right, man, I'll fucking see you later. And like, you ever see that walk racing that was a big fad in the 70s? I did that right out of that fucking house. And I said to the real estate guy, I go, Jesus Christ, I can see why this has been on the market for so fucking long. How the fuck are you supposed to sell it when the goddamn creep keeper is creep keeper, the crypt keeper? I'm like verbally dyslexic. Forget about trying to read. He's sitting up there. I didn't dare look. You know, when I was standing there and I said all this shit. I know those old houses, you can hear everything when you're right outside. I was standing right underneath the fucking bedroom window, and I didn't dare look up there because I had a feeling he was going to be standing in the window staring at me, and I was going to have fucking nightmares. And I fucking left. I left. And I have this creepy fucking feeling that because I went into that house, I got exposed to something. And at some point today, my home phone, which I never use, so it never fucking rings, is going to ring, and I'm going to pick it up, and it's going to be that guy's voice going, 7 days. And then I got to somehow expose somebody I know to it so I don't fucking die. Having said that, it was a great house that had a lot of potential.